Hare Krishna, Gauranga. So welcome to another Casey on the Go with myself, JD. I'm going to do something that I've not done in a very long time. So please dig out my old videos from my channel and see which ones I've done in the past. I can't even remember myself actually, but I'm going to do a little bit of a book review. But of course, I always like to add some philosophy in there. So I'm going to attempt to share something from what I've been reading recently. Very rarely, actually, do you get the chance to read something that has been recommended by the incarnation of the Lord Himself as being the book for the age. You know, there's been many fantastic books in the material creation, and all of them have their place, and all of them are enjoyable. Certainly, all these books of material nature, they fulfill one purpose and one purpose only. It's just essentially to give us some kind of pleasure. So your Harry Potters, your Lord of the Rings, your Discworlds, your Jack Reachers, your, Malazan, whatever it is that people are into, they're all essentially just there to give you some thrill for a short time. Then you move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and so on and so forth. Just, churning pleasure out of it and then discarding it. But actually, there's books out there that are filled not only with thrills and spills, but also are filled with deep wisdom and have not just excited people for 10, 15 years or even 100 years, but have actually thrilled people for thousands of years. And one particular book that I'm talking about is this one, is the Mahabharata. So actually, for me, I've always been one of the kind of devotees that would just Bhagavatam, CC, Bhagavad Gita. I would stick to those, and of course, I would read things that would enhance my japa, like holy name books, japa workshop books, or I'd read books that were tributaries to the Gita or tributaries to the Bhagavatam, commentaries by the acharyas, and so on and so forth. Maybe Prabhupada stories by the senior devotees, and so on and so forth. All things that would enhance the philosophical and spiritual journey. But somehow or another, this wonderful book had been skipped in my reading. So finally, I've actually got my hands on a copy, and I've been reading it, and it's just been absolutely amazing. Because this book, the Mahabharata, is recommended for the people of Kali Yuga. Yeah? So can you imagine that when you look online and it says, oh, the New York Times bestsellers, or whatever it is, the UK top 10, or whatever it is, world's most recommended famous books, or whatever, whatever it is. Same with movies, same with phones, same with everything's recommended by some list or by some expert or some this thing. But Srila Vyasadeva himself, who is the literary incarnation of Krishna, he wrote this book for the people of Kali Yuga. Thousands of years ago, he compiled this Mahabharata for the people of Kali Yuga. So this is the book that you want to get your hands on. These are the kind of books that you want to actually, get yourself into and just, explore the world inside these books. And one thing is, of course, that these books are not just stories, they're not science fiction, it actually happened, they're historical events. And also another thing for devotees as well, specifically, is that, there's many sides of a story. And unless you're brought up in Indian culture, traditional Indian culture, where these Mahabharata stories are your childhood bedtime stories, or you watched it on the TV, the classic Mahabharata TV series and so on, so you were brought up hearing all the stories and watching it on TV. Otherwise, generally speaking, these stories in this book are not so known to the general devotees, because you're familiar with the Bhagavad Gita and what the Lord says to Arjuna, or you're familiar with the Bhagavatam because that's the topmost book in our Krishna consciousness movement, you're certainly familiar, hopefully, with Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, because he's the most recent incarnation of Krishna. But otherwise, some of these different elements of the story, we're not so known. And this was the case for myself. For me, I've been reading some of these stories, I've been like, wow, it's like fleshing out the personalities of the Pandavas and so on and so forth. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing, So yeah, treat yourself and actually give yourself the bigger picture of the Battle of Kurukshetra and the Pandavas and even Krishna himself and Dhritarashtra and Bhishma and so on, just get to know them better, and then, through knowledge, gain a deeper respect and a deeper taste for the Lord's pastimes. And one thing, of course, now is to let's churn out some philosophical understanding from the book. So one of the pastimes, of course, as I said, I had never heard it before, was that near the end of everything, when the battle's over, and actually this is a quote from the book, it says that the Pandavas went there to get the spoils of war. So they went to Duryodhana's camp, and they were going to I suppose you were going to say they were going to claim their rights and say, okay, we've won, surrender, so on and so forth. And at that point, Krishna said to Arjuna, quickly get off the chariot. Take your weapons, take everything, come off. And then he says, I'm getting off as well. And Arjuna's like, what? Okay, so he jumps off quickly. And then Krishna gets off the chariot. And then the Hanuman, which is, of course, is the famous for the flag on Arjuna's chariot, quickly disappears. And then the whole chariot just goes up in flames and collapses into pieces. And all the Pandavas are bewildered. They're like, what? And you could imagine with the things that they had went through, with their house gone on fire, and with Bhima being poisoned, and with them being attacked, and with them just having fought a whole battle, their sons being killed, beheaded, and so on. So many different treacheries and so many different difficulties that they've went through. They were probably thinking, oh my God, is this some other attack that we've just avoided? So they're like, of course, naturally, when you're troubled, what do? You ask Krishna, for guidance. So Krishna turns and he says, yeah, what's just happened is that during the whole entire battle, this chariot has been getting hit with mystical celestial weapons. And the only reason it has sustained till now is because I was present. So that just sounds like a far out story, another fantastic story from the Mahabharata. But just actually imagine what has just happened there. When you look at these pictures, there's one kind of children's book called the Illustrated Srimad Bhagavatam Stories. And you can see Arjuna's arrows splitting into thousands of arrows. You understand that Arjuna was firing atomic weapons and so on and so forth. And you just think, oh, that just sounds amazing. That just sounds like another science fiction novel that I used to read or whatever. But no, Arjuna was firing arrows. They had the potency and ability to do unbelievable things in warfare. They had this science, the Dhanurveda, and they were able to do unbelievable things. Yeah. So here is the Lord. He's been driving the chariot, and only by his presence was Arjuna kept alive and was the chariot sustained. As soon as the Krishna stepped off and stepped away and the battle was over, the chariot was it was gone. So this is obviously to illustrate the fact that when Krishna is present, only by that is anything a success in life. If Krishna ceases to be present in the devotee's life, then automatically you're become again a victim of the material nature, and then it's free game. Then it's just a complete free for all. Then there's no rules anymore. You're completely in Maya's grasp, and then she can do with you what you want, what she wants, when she wants. And then there's nothing, you're powerless to fight against it. So this is one thing to remember. And it's the same, of course, with Lord Chaitanya himself. There's one sloka that says, Katanchana smriti yasmin, duskaram sukaram bhavet, vishmrite viparitam shat Sri Chaitanya namamitam. That things that are difficult become easy when one remembers Lord Chaitanya. So obviously the opposite is there as well. That things that are easy become difficult if one forgets. Yeah? So we never forget Krishna, we never forget Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our daily lives. And then we'll actually see that everything is falling around us. Yeah, everything is falling apart around us. In this material world, everything is disintegrating rapidly because time is our greatest enemy for those who just want to enjoy. Yeah. But for a devotee, time is also absent in that sense. Although, of course, yes, we are getting older every day. You know, the things that we own are disintegrating every day. You know, the job clock, we start at 8, finish at 4, or 9 to 5, whatever it is, that's all going on. The kids go to school, come back at a certain time. Time is there, it's influencing, but it's not disturbing our situation in terms of happiness and pleasure. But for the materialist who thinks that the things that they have belong to them, and for them to enjoy them constantly in an ever fresh and ever increasing manner, time is their biggest enemy. But for the devotee, time is irrelevant because all they're doing is engaging in serving Krishna, either directly or indirectly. So then the pleasure is always present because Krishna is present. We spoke today. I was attending the kids club at the Sunday program, and the Mataji was talking about how, when you chant the holy name, everything, it becomes Vrindavan. Vrindavan manifests. So this is what we're trying to do: keep Krishna in the center, keep Lord Chaitanya in your thoughts at all time, and then you're protected. So even of course, it doesn't mean that you won't suffer a little bit. It doesn't mean you won't feel unhappiness. It doesn't mean you won't be disturbed, but it certainly means that you won't be vanquished. And this is what Krishna promises. So this pastime is incredible. I'd never seen anything like that before, heard anything like that before. Because again, as I said, these are not familiar to me. They're certainly, although I was, in a devotee family, these were not my childhood pastimes, the Mahabharata, but childhood stories, But yeah, what an amazing thing. Krishna is sustaining everything. And as soon as his presence is away, then it all falls apart. So yeah, get yourself a copy of the Mahabharata, treat yourself to this timeless wisdom. And then, you can say that on your shelf, you've got a book that wasn't just part of the top 100 or the top 50. You've got a book that was recommended by the Supreme Lord himself. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Haribol.